The purpose of this screencast will be to show how to use one of my selected educational websites. The educational website that I chose was IXL.com. IXL.com provides a comprehensive set of standards-aligned math and language art practice from kindergarten through 12th grade. Last class we talked about how to create a Symbaloo page, which is a bookmarking site collecting websites and creating your own web mix. Right here is where I created my educational resources page, where I use my list of educational websites and made a tab for all of them. If I click on IXL right here, this will take me to the sign-in page for my school, which is Loyola Blakefield. This is our sign-in page, so Loyola AB right here is already at the end of my username. So when I type in the first initial and my last name and I put in my password, this will sign me into the website. If I was at just IXL.com, up here I would have had to have M. Kurtzman at Loyola B and then my password. So our website, if I am at the Loyola Blakefield sign-in, it is a little bit easier for our kids to remember how to sign in and not have to have Loyola B at the end of their name. So we adapted this website, or we started using this website during the summer of 2015. We have found it very useful, especially during the summer, assigning a summer assignment for our students coming into our school and returning students as well for all grades 6 through 12. An important thing to note about IXL, it is also aligned with Common Core. Even though our school is not aligned with Common Core, we do not necessarily follow Common Core, it is important to let parents know that we, do take note of the Common Core standards and that this website is aligned with Common Core. For example, they will tell you which skills are aligned with Common Core standards in the Maryland Model for School Readiness, the comprehensive coverage of math concepts and applications. For example, if I clicked on high school, since I teach secondary mathematics at Loyola Blakefield, I teach geometry, so if I hit Control Find and I start searching geometry, which I had done a second ago, and I start just searching down for some of the skills that are a part of the Common Core standards, I would start to see them listed below. So if I keep searching, eventually I might find something that I've already done this year, which happens to be this skill right here. Solve linear equations, because at the beginning of geometry, we were actually doing some algebra review. So if I click on this skill, this will actually take me to the geometry skill A6, Solve Linear Equations. We can also get to there from clicking on Math, which is at the top of the page, and this is where you can start to see all of the skill sets listed for all of the different grade levels. They range from pre-K, you can see the P, all the way down through pre-calculus. At the bottom of the website, it notes that they are continuing to add new skills and continuing to add skills for new grade levels. So if I go back and I'm trying to find that A6 skill under geometry, I would click on geometry. I would go and I would then find A6. Right? You're noticing maybe on the side here that there's a star and that this bar graph is kind of filled up because this was actually a skill that I assigned my students to complete. So if I click on this, and this is what these problems will start to look like for my students on their end. So if I quickly start to do this, if I start to do this quick math, right, we would add 1, we would get 3, then I would multiply by 4, B would be 12, right? Right away we would see that the answer is checked automatically in the system, and the students know whether or not they are getting this correct. Again, 4 times 4 is 16, then I go and add 1, we would get 17. Over here we're seeing this SMART score change as they are getting their problems correct. But say for example, maybe when they subtracted 19, they made it a positive 3 and they didn't make it a negative 3. So we would have 3, and then when they multiplied by a negative 4, they had a negative 12. So instead of having a positive 12, which you can see right here, right, they answered negative 12. But the website walks them through exactly what they need to do, right, and shows them the correct steps in order for them to be able to solve the problem correctly. So the review, the remember, and the solve. As you can see over here, the SMART score actually did go down, right, because they got their problem incorrect, so they lost points. So we have found that the students kind of treat this as a game. So they want to make sure that they're getting these problems correct so their points are not going down, and they can get to their SMART score of 100 as quick as possible. You can also note over here that the minute or the clock is ticking, so we can keep track how long it's taking them to do these skill sets. As a teacher and also a parent, it's also nice to know, or when we have parent-teacher conferences, it's also know, well, how long did it take for these students to do them? How many problems were they getting right? How many problems were they getting wrong? So as a teacher, it's very easy to see these reports on our end of things. This is loading, and this will take a while because if you notice there's lots of different reports to choose from status updates to uses to performance, trouble spots, progress and improvement, state standards, etc., etc. One of the biggest ones that I have found useful is the performance and student performance by skill. So when I assign these skills, I will go and make sure that in my roster, here are all of my periods. For example, there's my students for period 1. I will go and make sure that they are completing. I ask them to at least get to 90, which is an excellent score, right? That they've mastered the green right here under mastered. I can go through and make sure that they have completed all of their skill sets. Oops. It was taking me to a skill because I accidentally clicked on one of the skills that they were working on. If you look at these, right, here's the time spent. So 45 minutes, 39 minutes, they were showing that 62 correct but 38 missed, right? Maybe this student might need to be working on square roots, which probably shouldn't have been taking him 38 problems, right, to get through that section, right? Down here, 12 minutes, 11 minutes, 9 minutes, that's a little bit better on a nightly homework assignment. So there's other usage of the reports. We can go into trouble spots. There's class trouble spots, student trouble spots, category trouble spots. So I can easily look up where my class is having problems. I can make it so it's just reporting on one class, or I can have it reporting on all of my classes. For example, a B2 Algebra 1 skill, that's showing that this was somewhat of a trouble spot for one student. This was showing that this was a trouble spot for 2 students. So maybe I need to go and figure out who those students were. So all in all, IXL has been a wonderful tool so far. Our school has only had it since the summer. So we use this from 6th grade up and through 12th grade. So the entire school has been using it. So even through pre-calculus and even the calculus classes are going back and making sure that they understand the pre-calculus and the algebra 2 skills that it may be affecting their calculus. So I have been using this for homework review, quiz review, test review, trying to integrate as much as possible, and also has been a great usage of integrating technology in the classroom, being able to bring in the laptops and having these kids work on this in class and having the constant and instant feedback that they all like to see. Thank you for listening to my screencasts.